If you're a parent, you've almost certainly been there. The mealtime standoff. You make this beautiful, nutritious meal, and your child just won't eat it. It's a struggle we all know, but for some families, it goes way beyond just a simple phase. So let's dive in and explore when picky eating might actually be something more, and most importantly, what you can do to help.
I wanted to start with this quote from a parent who saw a real, honest-to-goodness transformation in their child's eating. It's just a powerful reminder that change is absolutely possible, even when it feels like you've tried everything under the sun. There's hope.
So, here's the million-dollar question every caregiver of a selective eater asks. Is this just a normal phase they'll grow out of, or is it something more serious? Let's take a look at how the experts really tell the difference between the two. What's really interesting here is just how clear the distinction is. So on one hand, you've got a typical picky eater. Yeah, they might have a smaller menu, say 30 foods or so, but they'll still generally eat from different food groups. A problem feeder, though, we're talking a severely restricted diet, sometimes fewer than 20 foods, and they might refuse entire categories like no vegetables, period. And that emotional reaction is the other huge clue. For a problem feeder, it can be extreme distress, not just a simple no thanks.
And when these really severe feeding challenges become persistent and start to impact a child's health, well, that may point to a clinical diagnosis. This brings us to a term you might be hearing more about lately, ARFD.
So what makes ARFID so different? Well, as defined in the DSM-5, it is an eating disorder, but, and this is the key, unlike anorexia or bulimia, it has nothing to do with body image. The food avoidance is all about other factors, like a total lack of interest in food, major sensory issues, or maybe a past scary experience, like choking.
And to get a diagnosis, the consequences have to be really serious. We're talking about significant weight loss or poor growth, major nutritional gaps that might require supplements, and a real impact on their social life, like being totally unable to eat at a friend's birthday party or out at a restaurant.
Now get this number, 72%. That's from a study showing that a huge majority of kids with ARFID also have an anxiety disorder. It really highlights that deep connection between feeding and emotion. Mealtimes can become this source of intense stress and fear, not just for the child, but for the whole family. Recognizing that link is a massive step towards empathy and understanding.
Okay, now that we've kind of defined the problem, let's shift gears and talk about solutions. And the first, most accessible strategy is all about one thing, taking the pressure off completely. Let's talk about the power of play.
So the goal of food play is not to get them to eat. Not at all. It's all about exploration. It's a chance for kids to learn about food by touching it, smelling it, seeing it, even hearing it crunch, all in a fun, totally non-stressful setting. When you remove that expectation to eat, you remove the fear. And that allows them to get comfortable and start building positive connections with food.
And you can get so creative with this. Seriously, think like a kid. Use carrot sticks as paintbrushes with ketchup as the paint, build little towers with cheese cubes, make a necklace out of cereal. The real key is to make it fun and keep it separate from mealtime. This should feel like an art project, not a food battle.
This simple sentence right here, it can be a complete game changer. Just saying this out loud to your child sets the stage and reassures them that this is a safe, no-pressure zone. It literally gives them permission to just explore, which is the very first step on the path to acceptance.
All right, so once a child is a little more comfortable just being around different foods through play, you can introduce a more structured strategy. It's called food chaining, and it's all about building a bridge from the foods they accept to new ones.
The logic behind food chaining is just brilliant. You start with a food your child already loves, and then you introduce something that's just one tiny step away. Because the new food looks, feels, or tastes familiar, it's way less intimidating. You're building a chain of trust, one link at a time. So how do you do it? It's a pretty simple three-step process. First, you just list out everything your child eats to find the patterns. Do they love crunchy things, salty things? Then, you pick one of those favorites and brainstorm foods that are almost identical. Finally, you introduce that new food. That's the next link in your chain.
Here is a perfect example that makes it super clear. Let's say your kid loves one specific brand of chicken nuggets. Okay, the first link in the chain could be the same type of nugget, just from a different brand. Simple. Once they accept that, maybe you try pieces of grilled chicken. And from there, maybe you can bridge to grilled fish, which has a pretty similar color and texture. You see how each step is just a small, logical jump? And sometimes the bridge is incredibly simple. I mean, if your child eats penne pasta, the very next step might just be rotini or macaroni. You're keeping the taste and the basic texture exactly the same, you're just slightly changing the shape. It's all about making these small, manageable leaps.
Look, navigating severe picky eating can feel so overwhelming, I get it. But progress isn't about giant leaps. It's about small, consistent, positive steps. So as we wrap up, I just want to leave you with this question to think about. Whether it's letting them drive a toy car through some yogurt or just smelling a new piece of fruit. What's one tiny, pressure-free step you can take this week to make exploring food a little less scary and maybe even a little more fun?